soil, the type of plant, what type of sunlight they receive. These are other factors that could play a part in how well the plants grow. So you need to know that a variable is any factor that could affect the outcome of an experiment. Now, our specific one that we're testing, the one that we're going to change, for example, fertilizer in some of the plants, not in the others. That's what we're testing. That is the variable that the experimenter chose to change. That is going to be called the independent variable. The independent variable is the only variable that can be different between your control group and your experimental group. All other variables must stay the same. Therefore, they are called constants because they constantly stay the same, whether they are in the experimental group or the control group. In our experiment with Miracle-Gro in the plants, the amount of water the two groups receive must be the same. The type of soil must be the same. The type of plant has to be the same. Additionally, what type of sunlight they receive has to be the same. If we do not make sure that all of the other variables are held constant, meaning that they are the same for both groups, and one group grows better than the other one, how do we know, if we didn't hold everything else constant, how do we know it's truly the Miracle-Gro that made the difference? So in order to have a successful experiment, you must make sure you have control of all of the variables. You are able to assure that all other possible situations or possible things that could affect your experiment, that you are able to keep those constant. Keep that in mind as you do your science fair project. All right, so the independent variable is the one that you chose to change. Now, as a result of that independent variable, for example, Miracle-Gro on plants, we're going to be able to see if the plants grow more. Basically, it is a measurement of the independent variable. Remember, for your science fair, it must be a quantitative measurement. The measurement must be something numerical. It's either a measurement or it's a counting or something like that, or some kind of system set up where your data is in numbers. What we're checking for here, what we're measuring for, is called our dependent variable. The dependent variable, listen to the wording here, the dependent variable depends on the independent variable. For example, the amount the plant grows depends on whether it got Miracle-Gro or not. Okay, what you had control over, plants getting Miracle-Gro or not. What are you going to measure to see if they've grown? How much, maybe how tall they are. Maybe how many more leaves they have. So how tall they are and how many more leaves they have is going to depend on your independent variable, which is whether they get Miracle-Gro or not. Number 3, this is going back to what I've already mentioned. These are the constants. Constants are variables that need to be recognized and not allowed to change. Okay, here's an example. If aspirin is added to cut flowers, then the flowers with aspirin will stay longer than the flowers without the aspirin. I want you to fill in what you think the independent variable is. Pause this, write it down. Once you've done that, start the video back and see what the answer is. All right, the answer is aspirin in flowers. Now I would like you to think what the dependent variable is. Write it down. Pause this video. Write down what you think the answer is. Start it back when you need to check your answer. All right, the dependent variable is how fresh the flowers stay. Think of it this way. How fresh the flowers stay depends on whether they got aspirin added to the cut flowers or not. Okay, some of the things that you have to have control of. I want you to mark this out. Please don't have control factors. Let's call these our constants. Okay, the constants, the things that have to be the same are the same type of flowers, the amount of flowers, the size of the vase, and the amount of aspirin. Okay, so keep that in mind that all of the other variables have to be the same. You need to describe all the steps involved in doing an experiment. Okay? Normally, what you're going to do during your experimental phase is collect your data. Some people say that the collection of data is part of the next step, the fifth step of the scientific method. Really, your data collection is going to be part of your experiment. 5, the fifth step, analysis. This is where you're going to look at your data, okay, and you're going to start forming charts, graphs, pictures, drawings. This will come into effect if you're doing a blueprint for something. Ultimately, those doing EDC are going to need to have a final blueprint or drawing of their car. The types of data you will collect, again, this is review, quantitative is data in numbers. And if it describes something, basically I just remember it's not the one with numbers, is qualitative. Our sixth and final step of the scientific method is the conclusion. This is a written explanation of what happens. It must answer the question or the problem. It must tell if the hypothesis is accepted or rejected. Basically, it must restate the hypothesis. Now, what if you find out your testable prediction was wrong? Guys, that's fine. Sometimes that happens. That doesn't mean you're going to get a bad grade because you made an incorrect prediction. Okay, you followed the process. The process is what is important. In your conclusion, you're going to summarize your procedures and you're going to discuss any problems you encountered. Make sure you include how you will make changes in the future. You're going to analyze the facts and what you need to do if your hypothesis was rejected. You need to state a new hypothesis for future study. What I would like you to do up here at the top of the page, I want you to write a little mnemonic device to help you remember the steps of the scientific method. P for problem, R for research, H for hypothesis, E for experiment, A for analysis, and C for conclusion. We're going to call this in class PR-HEAC. Go ahead, say it. PR